inventors.
Stan, a little tapper towards short, might be two. Uggla bobbles, and I don't think, well, they're going to call it an out. That's going to be the transfer rule. I know it's not changed yet. Major League Baseball has talked about changing it. Mike Redmond is on his way out. Uggla caught it, and in the transfer, dropped it. And here comes Redmond.
This is the perfect scenario of this entire rule.
The way they have called it so far this year, just for the naked eye, that looks like it will be a challenge. If the hat comes off, it means a challenge, and here comes a challenge. If they rule it consistent,
if they stick to the consistency and stick to what they've been ruling, then the call has to be safe. If they go to what they think they might do in more of a common sense call, then it's an out. Because Uggla drops it when he has it in the hand. He's transferred into the throwing hand. That's when he drops it.
I mean, we have seen plays like this where the ball has stayed in the hand longer than that and still been called safe. So the umpires in New York are watching. Jim Joyce, the crew chief, along with the second base umpire Marvin Hudson.
Now the frustrating thing will be if the out call stands, because then they're going away from what they've been calling,
which has been a more strict interpretation of the rule. The talk is getting back to a more common sense, but those talks have not taken place yet.
And remember, the Marlins, the beneficiaries of a couple of calls over the weekend against Seattle, that play at third base on the transfer.
Well, the result, if it's overturned, would be bags loaded, McGee at the plate. If it's called an out, it's at the corners with two outs. Uggla made a big error in yesterday's ball game on what could have been a double play to seal a win. So will they call it the way they've been calling it, or will they affect a change?
And Uggla standing out there, Mike Redmond, both knowing it could go either way.
Now, it was called out on the field, and so obviously you have to have decisive evidence, but you would think there's enough time and enough looks.
Before they started initiating this interpretation, that's an out. We see that happen all the time, especially when infielders, middle infielders are trying to turn a double play.
Seattle's play in Texas, in which Ron Washington was ejected, was at the plate and was almost identical to this. Ball into glove, hand goes in, ball comes out without the ball. That was essentially called safe in Texas to Seattle's benefit on their way into Miami.
This is taking a while. I think the guys back in the command center may be calling Joe Torre and Tony La Russa.
Not yet.
And I think that's why. I mean, it's very clear what happened, but I think the reason that it's taking so long is that they're just not sure which way to go.
And one of the things that has, I guess, muddled things up as far as the transfer rule is at full speed, it looks like it's a catch and all that, but once you slow it down, you get a much better look at ball coming in and coming out. This is a long time for what has been a controversial topic. Safe, and that's the interpretation that we've seen.
Absolutely.
It may change next week, but for now, the call is overturned.